Hi, what I want to show you today is how to make a multi-socket charger adapter so that you can use 2 or 3 chargers at the same time on a scooter that only has one charging port. That, for example, if you don't have a fast charger or you don't want a charger with a fan, you can instead use 2 or 3 standard chargers to have a higher charging capability and charge the scooter faster. First, you have to have the sockets. Yeah, these are the GX16 free ports that have 3 pins. On the typical electric scooter, not all 3 of these are used. They are numbered 3. The one on the downside is 2 and on the right is 1. So from this side it's 1, 2, 3. And these are the standard ports used for most of the high-powered scooters. There are also others available, but for a Dualtron, Kaabo Mantis and some others, it's these ones you want to use. And you only need the ports 3 for the minus connectivity and 1 for the plus connectivity. The port 2 is typically not used. On some scooters it is port 1 with plus and port 2 with minus, but that's very rare. So on some chargers, port 3 and 2 are connected, so that if any of these are the minus port, the negative electric port on the scooter, they still charge. But I guess it's okay if you only use 3 for the minus or for the black cable and 1 for the red cable. Next thing we're going to do is strip some wires. I've prepared some with a good length. I don't know. It depends on how long you want this adapter to be. These are about 20-25 centimeters. This should be okay. Then you strip the wire. I have a wire stripper, so I'm a little bit faster with this one. And you can adjust how far you want to strip the wire, but it's also okay if you don't have this, that you just take a cutter knife, and depending on how long you want to make it, just strip these wires. Yeah, so for this one occasion only, it's also okay if you just make it with a knife. If you didn't do this, okay, it's not even that easy because it's a special cable. If you don't know how to solder or are not experienced with this, you may want to ask someone who can to help you. This will make it a lot easier then. Yeah, so I know how to do it even if I didn't solder for a long time now, but also weeks. But also I will use this wire stripper for the next ones because it's just faster to make it this way and be ready. So you strip some wires, you heat up your soldering iron, almost ready. You purchase these GX16 3 pin headers. They are usually, you can buy on AliExpress or maybe somewhere local. I've purchased these from Amazon, but it's also a Chinese supplier that ships with Amazon, so it was a little bit faster. And they came in sets. What I need here is 3 of these male connectors and 1 of the female connectors. So the female one goes into the scooter, and the male ones go to the 3 chargers. I've already prepared these covers so that each one has a cover on it. and you can cover the sockets that are not in use, because you have to watch out in a way that you don't have these pins open, so that like someone or something can come into it if they are powered, so that you don't short circuit them. So normally the chargers always have this version, so that you can't accidentally touch something and have a short circuit. And if you use this and you have let's say 2 of these connected and the other one not, then it should have a cover so that it's not open and touch something and have a short circuit. So we then would want to take our wires and make them with some soldering, with some solder, as a solder, prepare them for the solder. Sorry, I'm not native English speaking, so it's not, I don't know the words for everything, but I'm pretty sure there is a word for preparing the wires with solder. First one. Okay, let's say you do this with all the wires. I make a pause now. So now everything is prepared with solder, at least the cables. I have also a 4th longer pair of cables. This then will go to the plug here. The next thing you want to do is prepare all these pins, also the number 3 and the number 1. Also apply some solder up front, and then it's easier to just stick them together and touch it. You may want, if you have it, a solder help like this, where you can this can hold the pieces for you, and it's much easier than to apply all the solder. Also, what I want to note is that you may want to solder in a well ventilated room, or have some kind of soldering help, that a fan or something that blows away the smoke, because it's not healthy. This is not a good idea to breath this smoke. I have a ventilator here, but if I would use it, you would hear only the noise and not much of what I'm saying. So I will connect directly the cable now. The number 1 on the right side is for the red one. So yeah, half of this is enough. Same thing with a black cable on the other side, on the pin 3. This is a little bit easier if you don't have a cell phone between you and the soldering things. So I have the first one connected. I do this with the next 3 pieces now. Thinking about it, if you are right-handed like me, you want to connect the left side, so the pin 3 first. The reason of this is that the same like you write from left to right, you don't do it over the other one the second time, so it's easier to do the right side as a second. So the next thing you want to do is unscrew all these parts from the plug that then is your charging plug that goes into the scooter. You will need a very small screwdriver for this screw, at least if your plug looks the same like mine. I think I even need a smaller one than this is like a standard set. I think most will have something like this at home if they have such screwdrivers. And let's take a little bit smaller one. It's really a bad screw. Yeah, it's not a good design. Okay, this one fits. So very tiny. This should make it possible to open this up. Okay, it came out. Oops, so we have this part here. Same logic with the pin numberings, 3 to 1. The thing that's different is that if you turn it to the other side, red is now on the left side up here, but still pin number 1. So it goes to the solder help. Maybe not, it doesn't really fit. I'll try to fix it this way, maybe this helps. Because otherwise it would just roll away and I can't solder. The reason why I want to make this is because I have a Kaabo Mantis and it only has one charging port, and I have in my flat I can't really put it away far away from where I am, so I always hear the fast charger, the fans, yeah, they're too loud, and I need something to be silent, so I will use normal chargers. And now it's going to be winter, and it's better to store the scooter with the batteries partially empty, so not all full. And if I want to ride, then I would have to charge them, and this takes a long time. 12 hours for empty battery, or longer possibly. So I want to have a way to charge them faster. And yeah, I think this should do the trick. Let's try it. So we assemble it back together, push it back in. Oh, not push. There is like a labyrinth game so that you can I didn't know that. Yeah, so you twist it a little bit and then you can put it out. Pulling a lot also is a possibility, but maybe not the best. Okay, put back the screw. I think this cable clamp will not really clamp something because it's for a bigger cable, but it looks nice, so put it here. Nah, maybe not. I think we do it something different so that it actually clamps something. I have prepared hot glue. So I put a little bit of hot glue here, and the main reason is that this cable clamp works and pushes it together so that you don't pull on the cables. Yeah, so it's only the main reason here is to protect the cables from just pulling it out. So let's try to do this. It's still a little bit warm, so it may. Yep. If you're slow here, you may have a problem because if the hot glue is already cold, you maybe cannot put it back on the clamp part. So, okay, so this one is done. Should stay where it is. Now we need some kind of isolation here on these parts. One possible option you have is to use a shrink wrap. Put it on here and shrink it. You may put some on the third one side. And another option would be to just put a lot of hot glue everywhere here and use a bigger shrink wrap and put it over all these pins, yeah, so like this. This would also work. I'm not sure which is the better option. It's, yeah, both is okay. You only want to be sure that these pins are not easy to touch anymore. Yeah? This is important. Okay, now it looks somehow like this. You can clearly see that you can not clearly see the contacts, which is good. It's not really the best version of isolation in terms of how it looks, but it will work. What we want to do now is to remove all these excessive hot glue and then solder all black and all red wires together. I have put some heat shrink, red and black, over the cables here. Transparent, could be any color, yeah, on this side of the plug. And I have cable ties on these 3 cables so that they stay together and are easier to solder together. So I will heat up the soldering iron again. I use a gas soldering iron, but you can use a normal one also, it's not a problem. 25 watt should be okay. So in my case, I've pushed these together so that they physically all already hold together, so it may make it easier to solder them together. Let's try it. Okay, looks good. Let's cut the cable ties. So, what I want to do now is to use the shrink wrap. Then shrink these two. You can use a lighter or a hot air gun. I have a hot air gun, so I will use this. The benefit of the hot air gun is that it doesn't burn the shrink wrap, at least not as easily. What you can see is that the shrink wrap is a little bit too big. I didn't have Maybe the one size smaller would have been okay. This may also be a problem for this one because it's even bigger. So yeah, just let's try it. There is different kind of shrink wrap, and some shrink to half the size. This one, for example, is the cheap one, and shrink wraps that shrink to 1/3 or 1/4 the size, and they would make a much better fit, of course. So let's try it. Come on, make it like this. Okay, so this is the finished product. Yeah. So 3 inlets, 1 outlet that goes to the scooter, and you can now connect 3 chargers at once to charge the scooter. Always please close this cap for the sockets that you don't use, so that you have no short circuit or something. Thanks for watching, good luck, and I hope you have a good use for this.